Hello. It's been a while, hasn't it? Wow, that is much longer than I thought. However, I'm back with a video to help you because you probably saw this game coming out, and unlike most FNAF fans, and hate books and refuse to read. So here's everything you need to know about the FNAF story Into the Pit before the game comes out. This won't cover major details like major plot points, characters, settings, and debunking misinformation, but if you want the full story, I'll link Ozone's audiobook in the description below. Without further ado, let's get into it. Chapter 1. The Story. Our story starts off with Oswald, a kid in school who is bummed out because the small town he lives in is empty. But it's the last day of school. Because of that, the teachers let the kids use their phones. Oswald had a phone, but it was old and outdated. He knew he'd be made fun of if he took it out. So he decided to draw instead. He drew mechanical bears, bunnies, and birds. He thought about how boring summer was going to be because his friend just moved away and his family was tight on money at the moment. At dinner, Oswald's dad explained that for the summer, his dad would drop him off at the library while his parents went to work, and his dad would pick him up when he got off. The next day, Oswald's dad dropped him off at the library and gave him some lunch money for Jeff's Pizza, just as they planned. They kept it the same routine for weeks. One night, Oswald's friend texted him and asked what he had been doing during the summer. Oswald just then realized that he had been doing the same thing over and over every single day. The next morning, he got into an argument with his dad about doing the same thing every day. Later, when it was time for his dad to come pick him up, he hid in the ball pit, waiting for him to come find him. He ran out of air, so he resurfaced, and that's when he noticed he was somewhere else. This place had bright neon lights, and the walls were loaded with arcade machines like Mrs. Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, and Frogger. He saw animatronics that looked like the shadows of the murals on the walls of Jeff's Pizza. He was still in Jeff's Pizza, or more accurately, what it was before. He made some friends, and on their way to play skee-ball, they passed a yellow rabbit. Oswald was sure it was just an employee in a suit. Some time passed, and he went back home, but he realized no time had passed when he was in the ball pit. The next day, Oswald went back into the pit, and this time, he even spotted a calendar with the year 1985. He met back up with his friends, but in the corner, he saw the same yellow rabbit, standing still. His friends didn't seem to notice anything, or at least, they didn't care. Oswald wondered why, and if he did work here, surely he wasn't supposed to be so creepy. They went to eat pizza and talked about how creepy the animatronics were. He didn't worry about the time now they knew no time would pass in the real world. But when they ran out of tokens, Oswald returned home. The next day, Oswald went back. They did the usual, play games, ate pizza. However, Oswald started to feel like he was leeching off of his friends, and said that he just watched them play. But when he stood up, his pants filled with tokens. The morning after, during a drive, Oswald asked his dad how old he was in 1985. His dad replied that he was only a couple years older than Oswald. He then told his dad that he researched Jeff's Pizza from the time before it was Jeff's Pizza, and asked if it was some kind of arcade. His dad answered yes in a nervous tone. His dad followed up saying that it closed. They arrived, and he dropped Oswald off. Oswald had a feeling his dad was relieved their conversation ended, but he headed straight for the ball pit. But when he rose, he heard noises. But not the normal sounds of cheers and laughter. This time it was screams and cries, yells for help, parents searching for their children. It was chaos. Oswald wanted to leave, but he was worried about his friends, so he looked for them. But he was also curious about what happened. As he searched, he saw the yellow rabbit. Oswald followed him down a long, dark hallway. He turned and looked at Oswald, his face always the same, a soulless stare and a never-ending grin. He stopped in front of a party room and opened the door, went inside, beckoning Oswald to follow. When he finally did go in, Oswald felt pure, unadulterated fear. 6 dead bodies. All sat up in chairs, none of them older than himself. It was as if the rabbit was showing off a prize. Oswald ran towards the door as the yellow thing lunged at him. He ran down the hallway, now to the empty arcade. He heard police sirens and dove straight to the pit, and he rose. He was back at Jeff's Pizza. His dad scolded him for hiding in the dirty ball pit, but suddenly, a pair of yellow arms pulled his dad in, and the rabbit came out, took Oswald by the arm, and drove him home. Oswald ran to his room and locked the door. As the rabbit stood still, Oswald could hear it, standing right outside his door. He texted his mom to come home and that it was an emergency. His mom hurried home, but noticed nothing. The next morning at breakfast, the yellow thing was at the table. His mom saw nothing wrong still. The rabbit drove him to school, and at recess, a girl sat next to him on the bench. She talked about Greek mythology and how Greek heroes needed to be brave to fight monsters. It reminded Oswald that he needed to be brave to fight the monster. That night, he snuck out of his house and over to Jeff's Pizza. Oswald went into the ball pit and found his dad. Oswald tried to pull his dad out, but the yellow thing attacked him. The yellow thing bit into Oswald's arm, its fangs now red with his blood. He slammed his head into it, making it stumble backwards. The rabbit's neck caught into the net around the ball pit, choking it. It gasped for air, kicking at its legs. Oswald took this time to get his dad out. When he looked back at the yellow thing, it now appeared to be, quote, nothing but a dirty old rabbit costume. His dad woke up, and they left. Chapter 2. Characters and Setting. Character, Oswald, a 10-year-old boy with a blue sweater and a red and yellow striped shirt. Starts the story in the 5th grade, ends it in the 6th grade. He enjoys Zentralix movies, and he draws the animatronics before he knows they exist. His father also knows about Freddy's, likely going there when he was a kid. He also lives in a small town. Owns a cat who is the only other person that notices the yellow thing took the place of Oswald's dad. Character, the yellow thing. Physical appearance, tall, yellow, golden version of Bonnie with buttons and a purple bow tie. He also has hidden fangs. He takes the place of Oswald's dad, stalks Oswald throughout the story, and after death, the suit becomes empty. He also is not William Afton. Locations: school, library, Jeff's Pizza, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, and Oswald's house. Dates: 2023 is likely, as in some screenshots in the upcoming Into the Pit game, you can see some FFPS stuff in the trash. 1985 is confirmed for when Oswald goes to the past, likely June, as that is when the MCI takes place. Chapter 3. Misinformation. Probably the most popular piece of misinformation is that the story involves time travel. I can see why some might think this, but this is not true. What Oswald is experiencing is a memory of the MCI manifested, and is more like a dream. Another misconception is that the yellow thing is the villain of the main series, William Afton. This is one that I stated earlier, but it is not true. He's more like a manifestation of how the missing children remember Afton. Another misconception is that the events Oswald experiences are 100% accurate. They're not. We can see this by there being a 6th kid in the lineup when Pit Bonnie shows Oswald his victims, and when Oswald magically gets tokens in his pants. These are manipulated memories. And those are the essentials of what you need to know about the upcoming game Into the Pit and the story it's based on. Like I said in the beginning of the video, I will have Ozone's audiobook linked in the description below if you want to listen to the full story.